A little boy looked up at his father and whispered, "Dad, they haven't eaten." His voice was so quiet that almost no one noticed. But someone across the restaurant did. A powerful CEO stopped in the middle of an important business dinner, looked toward the family sitting in the corner, and slowly stood up. What happened next changed more than one family's life forever. Before we begin this heartwarming story, welcome to Heartline Stories. If stories of kindness, hope, and second chances inspire you, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Your support helps us share more stories that remind the world that kindness still exists. It was a cold Friday evening in Chicago. The city was glowing with lights as people filled one of the busiest family restaurants downtown. Friends laughed over dinner, couples celebrated birthdays, and business leaders discussed million-dollar deals. In one quiet corner sat a father and his 8-year-old son. Michael had once worked as a construction supervisor. He loved his job, but after an accident left him unable to work for several months, everything changed. Medical bills piled up. His savings disappeared. Eventually, he lost his apartment. He and his son Ethan now lived in a small shelter while Michael searched for work every single day. That evening, Michael had only enough money to buy one small bowl of soup and 2 glasses of water. As the waitress placed the soup on the table, Michael smiled at Ethan. "You eat first, buddy." Ethan shook his head. "We'll share." The father smiled, hiding the tears building in his eyes. Across the restaurant sat Daniel Carter, the CEO of one of the country's fastest-growing technology companies. He was meeting several investors to celebrate a successful business deal worth millions of dollars. Everyone around Daniel admired his success, but very few knew his past. 25 years earlier, Daniel had been a hungry child just like Ethan. His own father had struggled to provide food after losing his factory job. A stranger had once quietly paid for their dinner, giving Daniel hope during one of the darkest nights of his life. He had never forgotten that moment. As Daniel listened to the investors discussing profits, he noticed Ethan carefully dividing the small bowl of soup into 2 equal portions. Then he saw the little boy lean closer to his father. "Dad, they haven't eaten." Ethan was looking at another family nearby, a tired mother sitting with 3 young children. Their table held only cups of water. The youngest child kept staring at another family's pizza. Michael looked over. "I know," he whispered softly. "I wish we could help them." Ethan nodded. "Maybe one day we will." Daniel heard every word. The restaurant suddenly felt very quiet. He remembered making those exact same promises to his own father years ago. Without saying anything to his business partners, Daniel stood up. The investors looked confused. "Daniel, where are you going?" "I'll be right back." He walked first to the restaurant manager. "I'd like to pay for every meal that family orders tonight." The manager smiled. "Of course." Daniel looked toward Michael and Ethan. "And I'd like to pay for theirs too." Then he paused. "No, actually." He looked around the restaurant. "Pay for everyone's dinner tonight." The manager's eyes grew wide. "Everyone?" Daniel smiled. "Everyone." A few minutes later, the manager walked to the center of the restaurant. "Ladies and gentlemen, tonight every meal has already been paid for by one generous guest." The room became silent. People looked around, wondering who it was. Daniel stayed seated. He wasn't looking for attention. But Ethan noticed him smiling. The little boy quietly walked over. "Sir?" Daniel looked up. "Yes?" "Was it you?" Daniel nodded gently. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you." Daniel smiled. "You don't have to thank me." "But, why?" Daniel pointed to the empty soup bowl. "Because years ago, someone helped my father and me when we were hungry." Ethan smiled. "So you're helping someone else now?" Daniel nodded. "That's how kindness grows." Michael walked over, embarrassed. "Sir, I don't know how to repay you." Daniel stood and shook his hand. You already have. Michael looked confused. Daniel smiled. You raised a son who noticed someone else's hunger while he was hungry himself. For a moment, neither man spoke. Daniel continued. That tells me everything I need to know about your family. They spent nearly an hour talking. Michael shared his story honestly. He never asked for money. He simply wanted another chance to work. Daniel listened carefully. What kind of work did you do before your accident? I supervised construction teams for 15 years. Daniel smiled. My company is building a new headquarters. Michael looked surprised. We need someone with experience. The following Monday, Michael arrived for an interview. After reviewing his work history and speaking with former co-workers, Daniel offered him a management position with excellent pay and full medical benefits. Michael could hardly believe it. You trusted me. Daniel smiled. I didn't hire you because I felt sorry for you. Michael looked curious. I hired you because your character showed me you'd be a great leader. Months passed. Michael worked harder than ever. He earned the respect of every employee. Meanwhile, Ethan started a small kindness project at school called Share Your Lunch. Students who had extra food quietly placed it into a special basket. School staff made sure children who forgot lunch or couldn't afford one always had something to eat. Soon, other schools joined the idea. Local newspapers shared Ethan's story. When reporters asked him what inspired him, he simply smiled. A man in a restaurant reminded me that kindness keeps traveling. Years later, Daniel attended the opening of a new community food center funded by Michael and several local businesses. Above the entrance hung a simple wooden sign. Kindness begins when you notice. Daniel stood silently, reading those words. Ethan, now a teenager, walked over. You remember that night? Daniel laughed softly. I'll never forget it. Ethan smiled. I still notice. Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. And that's why the world is becoming a better place. Sometimes the greatest miracles don't begin with money or power. They begin with a child who notices another person's pain, a father who teaches compassion even in hardship, and someone willing to stand up when everyone else stays seated. The truth is, kindness is never wasted. One small act can feed a hungry family, restore someone's hope, open a new opportunity, and inspire countless others to do the same. Every generous choice creates a ripple that reaches people we may never meet. If this story touched your heart, remember that you never know whose life could change because of one simple act of kindness. Hold the door open. Share a meal. Offer a smile. Help someone without expecting anything in return. The smallest gesture may become the turning point in someone else's story. Thank you for watching Heartline Stories. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes kindness can still change the world. Until next time, keep choosing kindness, because every act of love makes our world a little brighter.